Chair, the motion is passed unanimously. Congratulations. We have a new president.
This just in, new at noon, the next president of the UH system has been selected. The UH Board of Regents voted unanimously to give Wendy Hensel the job. Hensel currently oversees 25 campuses as the executive vice chancellor and provost for the City University of New York. She is expected to start by January, succeeding David Lassner, who has served in the position since 2013. We're going to have more on this story on air and online. And we're learning new details about the teen kayaker who was rescued after going missing off Waikiki last night. Officials said the 17-year-old boy was with a group that had planned to kayak from the Alawai Channel to Diamond Head and back at around 4 p.m. yesterday when they encountered strong winds. Now, on their way back, they realized they were missing a kayaker. Teams with HFD, the State Airports Division, and U.S. Coast Guard searched throughout the night. Meanwhile, Honolulu Ocean Safety says an off-duty lifeguard was also searching by boat. At 4:20 this morning, a Coast Guard helicopter spotted the teen near the Waikiki Natatorium and contacted the lifeguard who was on the boat. The lifeguard then took the boy to the Alawai Boat Harbor, where Honolulu EMS treated him for exhaustion, dehydration, exertion, and cold exposure. He was listed in serious condition. Now, a press conference is being planned for this afternoon, and when it happens, we're going to bring it to you live on your H&N digital platforms. Well, Hawaii will likely see more rainfall than average during the wet season, which runs from October through April. That's the announcement today from the National Weather Service. To help us break it all down, we're joined by Chief Meteorologist Jennifer Robbins. What can you tell us, Jen?
You know, Ash, this is actually really good news for us. When we're talking about La Nina building in, we usually think of wetter conditions like we're talking about in the press conference there. And right now we're still facing drought conditions, so this will actually alleviate the drought by the time we get at the end of the wet season. Wet season starts December, ends around roughly April. And let's take a closer look at what La Nina is. La Nina is actually cooler sea surface temperatures that we are going to be tracking, and that's going to be right at the equator. It looks like my graphics are slowly coming together here, but we are going to be seeing cooler than normal sea surface temperatures at the equator, and because of that, we already saw a very quiet hurricane season. And what else we're going to be tracking is just some changes as we go in months ahead. We face drought conditions, but remember, it was kind of a late start to our dry season. We had that late Kona low, and that was something that we haven't seen for about 20 years. That Kona low came in, and it did alleviate us from the drought, but then it also brought up our brush conditions as well. And because of that, now we're in drier conditions. So that's a big concern for us as we go forward in time. But the one thing that we're going to be seeing as we go into the winter months is wetter conditions coming our way, and that's great news for us. We could see more systems come through. In fact, some Kona lows, maybe some thunderstorms, and that would help alleviate the drought by the time we get into the end of the wet season like we're talking about. A lot of surfers are wondering if this is going to impact surf. It is. Usually during an El Nino season, we get the big monster waves. Well, with La Nina, it's the opposite. We could actually see smaller sets come through. So that's maybe one of the things that surfers aren't looking forward to as we go into the winter months. But overall, it's a pretty good forecast for us as we look forward in time. Things are looking pretty good overall. We are going to be seeing maybe a few storm systems that could bring us some big sets our way, but we'll have to wait and see if something like the Eddy would go on, because La Nina usually brings suppressed systems when it comes to that big wave energy, but we could still see some more rain. Also, what it's going to bring, trade wind weather. So the trade winds are going to be a little bit more typical during the winter months. We'll see that persistent windward and Malka showers coming our way as well. And then eventually we could be seeing some flooding conditions. So some takeaways with you. If you live in a flood prone area, this will be a big concern. You want to talk about a plan with your family right now. If you live in that area, clean some of the debris around your house, of course. We've been seeing past winters where it only takes one or two storms that could really make a big difference in flooding planning matters. And we saw that the last couple of storms. And we also saw this summer, of course, Hone that took Big Island out of the drought, but the rest of us are still facing drought conditions. And we are going to be seeing at least some improvements in that area in months ahead. But right now it's a transition to a weak La Nina. Even though it may be a weaker La Nina, we could see those wetter conditions come our way overall. So looking pretty good.
And we did hear from forecasters today at the press conference. Let's play a little bit of that.
The probabilities coming out from the climate models favor a weak La Nina event. And so the effect is that with both windward and leeward rainfall enhanced, we're expecting drought conditions to be completely eliminated by the end of the wet season in April. Some other impacts would be lower probabilities or lower likelihood of giant surf events. And then with the enhanced rainfall and the reduction of dry forage or more growth in the vegetation, then that greatly reduces the chance of wildfires during this time of year.
And Jen, we do notice that the temperatures do drop around the winter, obviously. So will this make it seem colder around, Christmas time?
It's going to be nice and refreshing, especially with those trade winds. When we have a north component to the wind, that usually brings a cooler air mass on top of us. So maybe we're talking about socks and slipper kind of weather,
sweaters,
little
Simon.
blankets, Simon, all the good stuff that comes along with the holidays. And I think this is going to be a good winter for us, but at least it's going to help us get out of the drought. And also we could feel like the seasons are here with cooler temperatures overall.
All right. Thank you so much, Jen, for breaking it all down for us. We're going to have more on that also on our website, hawaiinewsnow.com. And let's see, we have some today, the National Weather Service, they also are telling us about trends that we're going to be seeing for the winter season on the mainland. Maribel Gonzalez spoke to their experts.
After back-to-back hurricanes, it seems that some parts of our country are going to get a bit of relief from the severe weather this winter season. NOAA experts predict it will be warmer than normal for many, but there are exceptions. This winter could look a little different than the last one.
Overall, we are expecting warmer than normal temperatures across the southern tier of the country.
Last year, the natural climate pattern known as El Niño, in addition to warming due to fossil fuel pollution, brought warmer winters in the south and cooler ones in the north, with less snow in much of the northeast and Midwest. This year, its counterpart, La Niña, could bring a warmer and drier south and a wetter north.
Above normal temperatures are more likely across the southern tier of the country, also northward along the eastern seaboard, with below normal temperatures favored for parts of the northern Rockies and northern plains.
But no two La Niña winters are the same, and their strength matters. The Climate Prediction Center forecasts this one to be a weaker event.
We would expect a more variable weather pattern. So you could go from warm and wet to cold and dry in a matter of 2 or 3 weeks.
And while El Niño and La Niña climate patterns help give us a good idea of what to expect, experts like Peter Goebel, climatologist at Colorado State University, says Mother Nature will have the ultimate say.
I like to use the analogy with El Niño, La Niña of it's like playing a game of cards or poker with a few extra aces in the deck. You might have an idea of how the deck is stacked, but it doesn't mean you know exactly what hand you're going to get.
Another major concern for the weaker La Niña forecasts are drier than normal conditions, potentially impacting parts of the south that are already dealing with drought. Reporting in LA, I'm Maribel Gonzalez.
FEMA has updated its flood maps for Oahu, and thousands of residents may need new insurance. The agency did an extensive restudy of the island's flood hazards, including multiple streams that had never been evaluated before. The maps help identify high-risk flood zones, determine flood insurance requirements, and regulate development in flood-prone areas. Oahu residents and business owners are invited to attend an important informational open house on the changes to the flood insurance rate maps. Representatives with FEMA, DLNR, and the city will be there to provide more details and answer any questions. You can attend a virtual session on Monday, November 4th from 6 to 7:30 p.m. You need to register at resilientoahu.org/getfloodready. Or you can attend an in-person session on Wednesday, November 6th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Neil Blaisdell Center. Israeli leaders say their troops have killed Hamas's top leader in a military operation in Gaza. Remy Inocencio has the update.
מדינת ישראל סגרה היום חשבון ארוך שנים.
Confirmation of the death of the mastermind of the October 7th terror attacks came from Israel's foreign minister following DNA testing. On Wednesday, the Israel Defense Forces killed Hamas's top leader, Yahya Sinwar, and 2 others in a raid in southern Gaza.
לפני שנה חגגנו את חג הסוכות.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said evil suffered a heavy blow, but the war is not over. Last month, the Justice Department charged Sinwar and other Hamas figures, saying they financed, directed, and oversaw a campaign to murder U.S. citizens and endanger U.S. national security, orchestrating killings and kidnappings.
His decision, and it was very much his decision, to launch the terrorist attacks of October 7th, unleashed a year of tragedy in the Middle East.
Not everyone is celebrating here in Gaza. At this rally for hostages still in Gaza outside the Defense Ministry, families and supporters are afraid Hamas will kill whoever's still alive.
We still have 101 hostages who have to get home. We have to bring them home.
The parents of U.S. and Israeli hostage Omer Nutra released a video statement.
This is a critical, time-sensitive development as it relates to the hostages. Their lives are in great danger now, more than ever.
Vice President Kamala Harris commented on the death following a campaign event.
Justice has been served, and the United States, Israel, and the entire world are better off as a result.
The October 7th attacks that killed more than 1,200 Israelis launched the war against Hamas that has killed 42,000 Palestinians, according to the Gaza Health Ministry. The conflict has also spread to Lebanon. Remy Inocencio, CBS News, Tel Aviv.
Vice President Kamala Harris is holding back-to-back rallies in battleground state Wisconsin and campaigning with billionaire Mark Cuban. Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump is on the stump in New York. Natalie Brand has more.
Vice President Kamala Harris is on a swing through Wisconsin, where the presidential race is considered a toss-up. She started with a stop at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee as her campaign tries to turn out the youth vote.
Now, since we're getting older and we're looking to buy houses, I feel like the economy is a big reason why I'm voting for who I'm voting.
Former President Donald Trump stopped by a barber shop in the Bronx this afternoon with a large security detail.
Tonight, Trump appears at the Al Smith dinner to raise money for Catholic charities, a tradition for presidential candidates. Harris will give pre-taped remarks as her campaign says she's focused on being in the battleground states.
Trump's running mate campaigned in Pittsburgh this afternoon, making a play for energy-minded voters in western Pennsylvania.
Between West Virginia, Ohio, Pennsylvania, we've got enough coal and natural gas to power a golden age of American prosperity.
In North Carolina, another key battleground, early in-person voting kicked off with dedicated voters in Asheville, undeterred by the hurricane devastation.
It's a civic duty to vote. We've got to start taking it more seriously than we have in the past.
Harris's running mate, Governor Tim Walz, is campaigning in Durham today alongside former President Bill Clinton. Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Thrill seekers are bugging neighbors in Kahala. Our Ben Gutierrez reports on the search for reckless drivers tearing up a parking lot.
As the name would suggest, the parking structure at Kahala Mall is meant for parking. But some nearby residents say that occasionally some motorists have been using it for other purposes. The red car is on the open top deck of the 3-story parking structure next to Kilauea Avenue, doing donuts around the light poles and also drifting, leaving tire tracks in its wake. You can't hear it that well, but those tires are screeching.
I was awfully surprised and quite honestly kind of intimidated by it.
The resident who witnessed it didn't want to be identified.
If anyone was up there walking, old people tend to walk there at times, And, you know, if they lost control and careened into a person or a person on an e-bike or a parked car, that wouldn't be too good.
He also says this blue car did the same thing on the rooftop deck back in May. A former HPD deputy chief says it's fairly common.
Sure, you see a lot of that. You see a lot of videos, online a lot of times, guys showing off, even in, fairly empty parking lots. Then they'll lose control. They'll take out one of the lights for the parking lot. They'll hit other parked cars. They'll hit passengers, observers.
The resident says this typically happens late at night and just about every weekend, and police have been called.
Well, they've arrived at the scene maybe 10 minutes later, and by that time, they're gone.
Kahala Mall is private property, so Kahala Mall needs to increase their security, late at night to stop that, to stop the speeding and the drifting up there.
The problem is, for police to cite the driver, the reckless driving has to be witnessed by an officer.
It's difficult because with the video now, you still have to identify the individual. Just because you have a car, or you might even have a license number, who's the individual that's driving, who's the individual that's there at the time, that's who you need to identify.
HPD says Kahala Mall has filed a complaint in the latest incident. In Kahala, Ben Gutierrez, 11 News Now.
16 people are now facing fines and jail time after trying to hike the Haiku Stairs. The group was arrested for trespassing after they scaled a fence to get to the Windward Oahu Trail yesterday morning. Authorities say sections of the stairs have been dismantled, and hikers who ignore the keep out signs are putting themselves and first responders in danger. The group was booked and later released after paying $50 bail. They face a fine of $1,000 and 30 days in jail. Honolulu police are continuing a crackdown on illegal game rooms. Last week, officers seized 10 gambling machines, cash, a ski mask, and a ghost gun from an establishment in Waianae. Officials say the firearm had a high-capacity 30-round magazine. HPD's Narcotics Vice Division, the Crime Reduction Unit, and the Specialized Services Division executed the search warrant. After 270 days, the amount of Maui wildfire debris at the temporary dump site in Olowalu now weighs nearly as much as the Empire State Building, about 360,000 tons. The county reports there are no signs of environmental impact and air quality remains safe. Test results from ground monitoring well samples taken October 7th are expected next week. All right, let's hele on to Hilo for a live look outside. You can see gray skies and some showers there. Typical of Hilo, the temperature there, 78 degrees, and parts of the east end of our state are going to see showers today as those breezy winds slow down. Guy's going to have your full forecast after this quick break.
How's it on this Thursday? We've got the slower winds starting today through tomorrow. The winds will come bouncing back over the weekend. And as far as rainfall, minimal rainfall today, although later today for the east end of the state, Maui and Hawaii Island, they could see a few more windward showers. Still not a lot of rain expected, especially for leeward sides. And the winds are in the process of slowing down. And that's why that red flag warning yesterday has been tossed out, because humidity levels are higher. And they will be higher through tomorrow. And the winds come bouncing back over the weekend. So this is what we got today. Lighter trade winds, lots of sunshine, a few showers for a handful of windward spots this morning. Overall, it's going to be, again, fairly dry. High temperatures running into the upper 80s. And as far as the surf, the North Shore swell is on the way down, but that's where the waves are the biggest. Maybe some head-high sets at best. Every place is pretty small. No significant swells coming in anytime soon. So the weather's going to be pretty nice, but there will be some changes coming, right? Lighter winds today and tomorrow, a little bit more sticky, maybe some afternoon cloud buildups as well. And again, look for a few more showers for the windward sides of Maui and Hawaii Island. And then over the weekend, the trade winds come bouncing back. Humidity levels are going to be lower again. But overall, still, we're not going to see much in the way of rainfall, even through next week.
Tributes are pouring in from around the world following the death of former One Direction band member Liam Payne. The 31-year-old singer died yesterday after authorities say he fell from a hotel balcony in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Payne became a global sensation at just 16 years old as a member of One Direction and pursued a solo career when the group broke up in 2016. In recent years, he spoke about his struggles with severe suicidal thoughts and addiction.
He was so inspirational, and he always spoke out to me. And it's just devastating that obviously, the tragic news, he's gone. It is devastating. I was literally up at 1 o'clock this morning crying my eyes out.
It is really upsetting, and I've got loads of mates that were really, really upset. I got phone calls and people in tears.
An autopsy into Payne's death has determined the singer died of multiple trauma and internal and external hemorrhage as a result of the fall. Authorities in Argentina say everything indicates that the musician was alone when the incident occurred. This is the spacesuit astronauts will wear on NASA's Artemis 3 moon mission. Luxury fashion house Prada unveiled the designs today. The mostly white suits feature a cropped torso and stone gray patches across the elbows and knees. And specially engineered boots will allow astronauts to spacewalk for at least 8 hours a day. The suits will be made of a white material which reflects heat, offering protection from extremely high temperatures and lunar dust. Officials say Prada's in-depth knowledge of textile production and sewing techniques help bridge the gap between functionality and style. Well, if you like Legos, check this out. 15 of the world's most talented Lego builders have been invited to the home of the Lego brick to show off their own unique creations at the annual Masterpiece Gallery exhibition. Now, every year since 2017, 15 so-called AFOLs, or adult fans of Lego, have been invited to the Lego house in Billund, Denmark. According to Lego, close to 25% of all visitors to the Lego house each year are adult Lego lovers visiting without kids. Now, this year, enthusiasts from 9 different countries around the world got the chance to exhibit their imaginative creations, such as a golden dragon, a knight on horseback, and a 1950s-style diner. The creations were chosen because they pushed the boundaries of what to build from Lego bricks. Now here at home, there's a new attraction, a haunted attraction, popping up in the Ala Moana area for Halloween, and it's all for a good cause. It's called Trial of Fears, Dr. Delirio's Insane Asylum, and it's benefiting Family Promise of Hawaii. Who better to check it out than Casey Lund?
You have got to check this out before it's gone. The last day is November 2nd. This is Waikiki Trolley's Trial of Fears, Dr. Delirio's Insane Asylum. Come on in and check out some of my biggest fears. No doubt this was scary, but it's more than a haunted house.
Correct. So no touching, but you have to do 3 challenges to complete to continue. And if you complete it all, maybe you'll escape.
And it's a good scare for a very good cause.
So Family Promise of Hawaii, they help offer services to and prevent homelessness with our families of Oahu. So it's a great cause, caring for a cause.
Beyond supporting Family Promise of Hawaii, you're supporting actors. I mean, the patients and the orderlies inside this spooky place.
We have people coming year after year. This is year 4, so we're starting a tradition, I think.
There are only a few weekends left to check out the attraction before it's gone for good. And trust me, this is one you don't want to miss. As for me, after making it through the deranged doctor's office, the holding cell, and whatever terrifying place this was, I'd had my fill. 10 things. We're going to send things back to you for now. Dr. Delirious, by the way, use promo code Hawaii News now. You get $3 off your admission. I got to go.
Yeah, no, thank you for me, but it's for a great cause, so go check it out, everybody. Thanks for watching. This is Now.